I have never watched a single critical drinker video. Wow, that's 3 fucking million people, 3.5 million. But let's be honest, right? I mean, most of these actors and actresses in Hollywood has entire agencies that they pay to, negotiate their contracts on their behalf. And I mean, obviously that makes sense. But they also tell the actors how to act, how to, what to do, what to say, and shows them certain situations. And now we're at this point where going after the consumer, the person that puts food on your table is the big hot thing to do. Even though everyone and their mother says it's a bad idea, right? People, one, defend it oddly. Two, you know, even the same people that defend these actions are also people that understand that they're not going to work. So, and this is why, Rachel Ziegler was probably the worst actor for the job. Because let's be honest, right? She obviously does not care for the art, does not care for her role, doesn't care for any of this, doesn't care for the fans. But she was thrown into a role regardless. And everyone can see that it was just a bad role, a bad decision, but it's one they're sticking to. Oh, another bad decision was them getting rid of the dwarves, the original dwarves, before they changed them into 8 diversity hires, and before then they changed them to CGI dwarves that just look weird. They had people with actual dwarfism that could have had a job, could have had a role in the plane, could have made money, and maybe even jumpstart their acting careers off this movie. But because Peter Dinklage opened his fucking mouth, Disney let them all go, and some of them were like, "Well, what the fuck, man? Like, you grew your entire career as a person with dwarfism off acting. Why the fuck can't we?" Well, apparently, because Peter Dinklage wants the trademark in dwarfism. They're saying these individuals that act like they're the most empathetic are at the end of the day very cutthroat and capitalistic. Like, he wants a monopoly on the short dwarf person. Doesn't want anyone else to. He climbs the ladder, then kicks it down for everybody else, and people defend him. So let's give this a watch.
There are certain fundamental truths about this world which are so universal that anyone, no matter their race, colour, or creed, can pretty much agree on them. 1. Never trust a post Vindaloo fart.
Got him.
2. Spreadable butter isn't. 3. Anytime a woman starts a sentence with "a real man would," you know you're about to hear some weapons grade retardation.
Yeah.
And to that not so illustrious list, we can add that the Snow White live action remake was, without a doubt, one of the worst ideas in the whole history of entertainment. Possibly the most predictable of all failures, a project conceived for all the wrong reasons, starring all the wrong people, pushing all the wrong messages, and telling the entirely wrong story. After all the delays and the controversies and the speculation that have been swirling around it for what feels like decades now, it was actually kinda weird to finally sit down and just watch this thing.
Yeah, it's weird because Gal Gadot, the person who, this actress looks a hell of a lot more attractive and beautiful than this one, and the entire point of Snow White was this person was jealous of this person's beauty. But then you actually sit and look with your own fucking eyes and you see, well, this character's clearly more attractive. Why would she ever be jealous of this person? I mean, I'm not watching. I'm just going by off the old Snow White, right? Why would someone like this be jealous of this person's looks? and they'll probably find some stupid current day reason. I'm saying I'm not going to buy it. If it deviates from the original, I don't care.
And just watch this thing, like meeting a celebrity after following their career for years. Not a good kind of celebrity, like, more like a Jimmy Savile kind of celebrity. The kind that you're discreetly warned never to get into a lockable room alone with.
Got him.
But here it is, nonetheless, and now that I've finally suffered through nearly 2 hours of Snow White, I can confidently tell you that, yes, this film absolutely lived up to all my worst expectations, and in some cases even exceeded them. A bloated, overstuffed turkey of a production, weighed down by hammy acting, cheap costumes, horrendous CGI, and vomit-inducing cinematography that bungles most of the elements it steals from the original animated movie, abandons its classic ideals of self-sacrifice, heroism, and true love, and injects the lethal dose of the message.
Yeah, and again, people are just sick and tired of that. Again, we've reached market saturation of the quote-unquote message. Even if you're right, people are sick and fucking tired of hearing about it. And you will lose more people the more you try to push it. Like, you will eventually just lose people that are like, shut the hell up. Like, why would I watch this over watching anime? Like, I want to watch wholesome shits. I want to watch, big anime bitches on the screen. If you can't give me that, if you can't give me wholesomeness, I just will not watch your shit.
Just so redundant and thematically contradictory that it just gets abandoned by the ends.
Yeah, another thing was she's just dancing around making these dwarves do all the work as she's a guest in their house and they came home from mining which is backbreaking work, by the way, especially for people of their stature. And not like in the original, she sang and she helped out. She got the animals that helped the dwarves because the point was, they came home after a hard day's work. I'm gonna help them out. We'll work together as a unit. And now she's just dancing around, being like, "You do this, you do this, you do this." It's like, what the fuck message are you trying to send with that?
It's also laughably obvious where they've had to reshoot and rewrite big chunks of this movie in response to all the backlash. Entire subplots, characters, and setups are introduced and then abandoned without explanation, and the ending is so wildly anticlimactic and jarring that it makes World War Z look like a model of cinematic efficiency. Anyway, let's get the plot.
Hey, don't shit on World War Z. I like that movie, even though, it completely different from the book. I shouldn't tarry on this
Summary over with so we can
too
put
long.
this turd behind us. The basic setup for Snow White is broadly similar to the original film. Snow White herself is born to the benevolent king and queen of a generic medieval fantasy land that tactfully goes unnamed. Although, fuck me, they must have pretty good transportation links with the rest of the world because the population here is more ethnically diverse than central London. Anyway, Snow White's mum dies and her...
To be fair, fantasy land and fantasy universe, I don't care, whatever. I get it, we're in nitpick territory, but this place doesn't exist, so whatever. I don't need the logistics of a place that doesn't fucking exist. But I do understand the argument, right? This is old European folklore. This motherfucker wouldn't be here. Just saying.
Gal Gadot, who manipulates him into going off to war, where he promptly disappears and is never seen again. Oh no, guess she's gonna have to take control of everything. What a bind. Fast forward a few years and the kingdom's become a kind of dystopian nightmare where everyone's poor and hopeless and ruled over by an iron-fisted tyrant. It's a bit like modern day Britain, only with better sanitation and dental care. Anyway, after a confrontation...
she looks stunning. This character right here, Gal Gadot, looks amazing as a character. But Rachel Ziegler, the main character, looks garbage. This looks like... You would think this is the main character by the way they look. No, it's this. It's whoever the fuck this is.
with Snow White over a bandit named Jonathan who tried to steal some food from the castle, the evil queen decides the best thing to do is send her out into the forest where the huntsman can conveniently murder her. It's a bit extreme, but I'll let it slide. Naturally, the huntsman has second thoughts and decides to let her go, and after wandering alone for a while, she runs into 7 dwarves that I can only describe as the kind of thing that Cthulhu probably has nightmares about. I'm not kidding, man. The brief glimpses that you got of these things in the trailers are absolutely nothing compared to the existential horror of actually witnessing them on the big screen. These are nightmares.
Yeah, the CGI just looks odd. And the fact that they replaced 7, I said 8 before, like 7 actual actors with dwarfism with whatever the fuck these are supposed to, this shitty doo-doo garbage CGI. It's like, man, Disney just does not know how to capture the magic. Like, they're really trying to capture the magic, but they're failing to do it because they're held back by social bullshit that adds nothing to the movie. It's all these contrivances and all this noise that adds absolutely nothing to the art of storytelling and producing movies. And we know this is the problem with Disney. Disney themselves tell you that this is the problem, right? With Peter Dinklage opening his mouth and Disney making changes because of him opening his fucking mouth is why, that right there is how you know that this is the situation.
These are nightmares made real. Like if you woke up in the middle of the night and saw Mr. Blobby standing at the foot of your bed, silent, motionless, watching you with those blank, lifeless eyes that bore into your very soul. So after crashing at their house for a while, eating their food and helping herself to all of their resources, Snow White helpfully forces them to clean up their own home while she prances around like she's on some mad acid trip.
Yeah, and this is the problem, I'm like, what the fuck? Like, this goes absolutely against the original, because again, with the original Snow White, they all worked together. Like, she got the animals from the forest, plus herself to help the dwarves after they did a hard job mining. But in this movie, she's making them do all the cleaning and shit. It's like, why? And their own fucking home.
Which she probably is, to be fair. I would be if I was in this fucking movie. Then for some reason she gets it into her head that her dad must still be alive, and the only way to find him is to seek out the bandits that lurk in the forests.
Right.
So naturally, she runs into Jonathan about 5 minutes after leaving the house so that the rest of the plot can happen, and he protects her from the evil queen's soldiers by taking an arrow that was meant for her, so she brings him back to the dwarves to get fixed up. Oh yeah, you know those retarded looking Starbucks baristas from those early set pictures?
Yeah, see, this is what they were originally going for, which, yeah, I have nothing to say to this. This would have been a mistake. Like, the CGI dwarfs is better. No, the original dwarfs was better than this. You know what they should have originally gone with was better than this.
That everyone thought were the dwarves. Well, those are the bandits, who are actually out of work actors forced to become thieves because the evil queen's taxation policies shut down their entire industry. Is that a reference to something? Is that a reference to something?
I mean, you can make the stretch, but whatever. I mean, we're talking an old, medieval setting. I mean, if you want to make the stretch, go ahead.
Reference to something?
No idea. Anyway, Jonathan decides to lure the Queen's soldiers away to give Snow White time to escape, and then immediately gets captured because he's a bumbling idiot. And the evil Queen decides that she's had enough of this shit, frankly one sympathizes, so she turns herself into an old hag and manipulates Snow White into eating a poisoned apple that makes her go a bit dead. But that's okay because Jonathan escapes prison so that the rest of the plot can happen, and gives her the world's least passionate kiss, which brings her back to life so that she can begin her cunning plan to overthrow the Queen and take back her her kingdom. Do you want to know what that plan is? Are you ready for the fourth dimensional quantum mega chess that she plays here that would probably give Christopher Nolan a brain hemorrhage? Well, she walks into town and then convinces the soldiers to turn against the evil queen because she can remember their names.
Really?
I'm not kidding, that's her plan. So the evil queen gets mad and
So she remembers their names. And they're like, alright, okay, I guess we're on your side. And that's what she if they want to make it to where she used some goofy witchcraft or shit, whatever. But that just sounds like, even if I was a child and watched this, I'd be like, what the fuck? Because just because, you're younger doesn't mean you're a fucking idiot. I mean, well, you're a fucking stupid little idiot, but you don't think you are. So you're gonna try to act like you're not. And if I was to see this, I'd be like, what the fuck?
smashes the magic mirror and then turns into black glass and shatters, and Snow White becomes the new queen, and that's it. They all live happily ever after. Now, there's a lot I want to say about this movie, but first, let us begin with the positives. And as hard as it might be to believe, most of them actually concern Rachel Zegler.
No way!
Now, don't get me wrong, she might be an obnoxious arsehole in the real world, but
Got
credit
him.
where credit's due here, she actually isn't terrible as Snow White.
It's not true.
Yeah, I mean, I guess she's not a bad actor and actress, but we live in the age of actors and actresses having the same thing, like having the same political opinions, which back then you didn't know and or care. You mainly just cared for their acting. Now we live in an age where, oh no, they say the right things, and you're supposed to be like, yup. Like, that's the age we live in now, to my detriment. Like, I wish this wasn't the case. I wish we could go back to, just actors doing their job. You didn't know what their opinions are. You didn't know what their opinions on the roles they played were. They just played the fucking role. Also in the age of, like, method acting where you play people you're not. Instead of, like, The Rock playing The Rock in every single movie.
That's impossible!
I mean, her outfit looks like it cost like $100 off Amazon. Her haircut makes Anton Chigurh like a cutting-edge trailblazer. Her performance is a bit over the top and theater kid at times, and her American accent comes and goes depending on whether or not she's in a reshoot. But I do get the impression she's at least trying to do her best with the material, and she can absolutely belt out the musical numbers, which is pretty much what you'd expect from a trained vocalist. The same cannot be said for Gal Gadot, however. It genuinely pains me to say this, but I think we all need to come to the acceptance that that girl cannot fucking act. It takes a special...
I disagree. She absolutely can. If in a movie where, like, I'm looking at Wonder Woman, like, the older ones, she can act. It's just, again, this is just a bad role in this movie. I mean, she looks and even if she's not acting better in this movie, like, the way she looks is just off. Like, if they were to switch the roles, it would make sense, because Gal Gadot actually looks like a beautiful character. Like, this character looks beautiful. Like, why would this character ever be jealous of the main character, Snow White, in this movie? It doesn't make any sense.
Kind of charisma, presence, and dramatic range to play a good Disney villain, and well, Gal Gadot doesn't have it. Her delivery somehow manages to be wooden and scenery chewing at the same time, and when she has to deliver a big musical number, you can pinpoint the exact moment where they swap out her voice with someone who can actually sing.
Imagine there's no heaven.
Got him.
Jonathan is yet another entry into the bumbling, forgettable, non-threatening male sidekick list of modern-day Disney heroes. There's brief moments where it seems like he might be displaying the tiniest bit of attitude and heroism, but then it's immediately squashed to reinforce the idea that men are all just a bit useless. Visually, the film's an inconsistent mess. CGI Cthulhu nightmares aside, the colour scheme ranges from bleak, washed-out grey castles and towns that look like Zack Snyder directed it, to a kind of over-the-top golden yellow piss filter for the CGI woodland scenes that's so excessive it actually makes your eyes start to hurt after a while. It's funny as well because there's like one scene that was filmed on location in a real forest, and the contrast between that and the CGI fantasy version is so jarring, I actually thought the action had shifted to a whole different country. Also, you can absolutely tell this movie's been reshot to fuck. The kiss scene...
Yeah, and that's the thing a lot of people are saying with all the scenes is just, they just don't, like, mesh well. Like, at one point they're saying one thing and in one setting the other. They're in, I guess, a different setting, but it just doesn't feel right. At least this is what I was told.
Where Jonathan brings Snow White back to life was absolutely added in later to try to appease fans of the original. Snow White herself has clearly been toned down in places to make her less obnoxious, and I'd be willing to bet about 90% of the bandit's screen time has been cut. Most of them don't even get a single line of dialogue, which once again had me questioning, why the fuck are they even in this movie? I think the biggest...
Well, probably because they already hired them. Like, I don't know what they did with the original dwarves. Maybe they already signed the contract, but I'm guessing they didn't want another stink by firing them, so they're like, okay, we'll have y'all play insignificant roles. And yeah.
The problem, though, is the ending. The original movie had the dwarves battle in the evil queen to save Snow White, reinforcing the idea of reciprocal kindness and redemption, but here Snow White has to resolve everything by herself, and the result is that none of the other groups or factions have anything to do. Both the bandits and the dwarves, and even Jonathan, just kind of stand around watching the whole thing play out, and I couldn't help wondering, what is the film even trying to show us here? Snow White as a character seems to be all about equity and shared responsibility,
Got him.
rather than privilege and greedy self-interest, but when it comes to the crunch, she ends up having to do basically everything herself, which negates the very point the movie's been trying to make for the past 2 hours.
I mean, I think that's mainly just them trying to justify the paycheck. Like, wonder how much it costs to get her on board. Like, I guess Rachel Ziegler and Gal Gadot, like, they're pretty famous, right? They cost quite a bit to act. So that's probably what they're trying to get their money's worth, you know, above other things.
This fundamental inability to understand what it's even trying to say, beyond the crushingly tired princess who saves herself trope that's now become the very cliche it worked so hard to overturn that proves to be the film's real undoing.
And again, I'm not even going to get into the whole trope of that. Again, I'm just saying we have market saturation. Like, there's so many, like, remakes and shows and movies that try to do that people are just sick of it. Like, we can agree that tropes, you know, can to an extent take away, but there's some tropes that just work. And old Disney understood that, and they built on tropes that everyone could agree with. This built on tropes that just a few, you know, liberal white women that wants everything, that look, that view characters as vessels to inject themselves into instead of like characters in the movie, right? They can like, but everyone else is like, what the fuck is this? Like, I can't relate to any of these characters. Like, I can't relate to the main character or anyone else here.
In short, Snow White is a modern-day mess. A film that's basically been a disaster from start to finish, and now that it's finally out there and I've reviewed it, it's something I'm very much looking forward to tossing on the ash heap of history. Do yourself a big old favor, save yourself some time and money, and go watch the original instead.
Weird.
Anyway,
Yeah.
that's all I've got for today. Go away now.
Yeah, again, not surprised. And again, the actress going after the fans and people that like it. Not a good thing. Not a good thing. Don't cry because it happened. Smile because it's over. Oh, God. Over 1,000 views in half an hour. There were people more interested in your review than the movie. That's Hollywood, baby. Yeah, people are more interested in shitting on a Hollywood product than actually watching the movie. Does Disney realize they made a movie where the kingdom was prosperous and happy with a king and instantly destroyed when it was ruled by a queen? Don't think about it. I mean, hell, I'm looking at Gal Gadot's character in this. She can oppress me any damn what. I agree with Rachel. It's not 1937 anymore. It's 1937. In 1937, they made a good movie. Yeah. Yeah. Walt Disney is competing with J.R.R. Tolkien, who is spinning in his grave fastest. Actually, that might be the new. Thanks for the title. RIP to RIP to Rachel Ziegler Hollywood career. Nah, I think again, they're not passed around based off popularity anymore. They're passed around based off clicks. Like, everyone wants to be the fucking heel. Like, you know, what The Rock was. Everyone wants to be, and again, they go off, oh, if it gets clicks, even if it's bad publicity, well, then, hey, they must be good. Mirror on the wall, why are the seats empty in the cinema hall? This was a comment from another video. I should have given credit, sorry. No. God damn it. Such fucking good titles in the fucking comments. The best thing about this whole thing was that it forced people who were never going to watch the classic film to try to appreciate it. Yeah, it's like, and besides, why would you watch? It's like, there's, like, remakes worked at the beginning, like with The Lion King and Aladdin. But again, it's becoming this trope where everything needs to be a remake, remaster, prequel, and sequel, and people are just sick and tired of it. When Richard Ziegler isn't even the worst thing about your movie, you know you're in serious trouble. Oh, God. The movie was made in 2025, and is very evidently so. 6% CGI, 30% live action, 10% weird. Hey, fucking men. But anyway, that's all I gotta say about this. I am never watching the movie, and I'll be glad I didn't. I'm practicing the closed wallet technique. I identify as non-binary. But anyway, that's all I gotta say about this. Peace.